So I am in Spain. I'm inside of an apartment that is inside of Altea, which is inside of Spain. And I just wanted to get everyone caught up on what's been happening the past few days. So the latest adventure I had was Nick and I. Say hello, Nick.
Hi.
We went over to Circus, or we don't really know how to pronounce the guy's name, but apparently it's a circus, and we see all these posters all around town. So Nick and I were really excited. We're like, yeah, a circus in Spain. I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? Because I went to a circus in the US, but it was the Barnum Bailey circus. But the problem with that circus is that there are just too many rules, and you can't, like, train animals to do too many things because everyone gets all mad. But in Spain, it's a little bit different. So they started off with a few things. First off, they had these juggler people, right? Normal jugglers. And then, of course, they lit the things on fire, which is always cool because they're juggling with fire. And let's see, what was another highlight? Then a flamethrower came out. So this guy, he's like, and this flame comes out, and then he takes these like red hot flaming things, and it goes like this. Not just once, but he did it like 5 times, and he just, it was insane. And let's see, what else happened? A Sponja Bob was there, which is SpongeBob, but maybe it's Bob Esponja. Anyway, Esponja, I don't even know how to pronounce it exactly, but both him, Squidward, Squidward and Patrick all came out, and they didn't even do anything. They just kind of came out, but everyone went crazy. First off, I forgot to mention, there were lots of kids there. So when we went up to go buy the tickets, there was probably, I don't know, 40 kids right outside. We're like, oh boy, this is like for little kids, a little circus for kids. So we get inside, of course, everybody is a kid except and their parents, right? And Nick and I were like the only people that without kids. So we're both kind of sitting there, and then of course they talk for a while, and it's in Spanish, and we don't really know that much Spanish. So I didn't really catch what they were saying, especially when the clowns came out and they're like making jokes, and everybody's like, ah, and I'm just like, ah, and Nick's like, he's even more clueless, So, so that was fun. And let's see, then they had a couple clowns come out, right, like I mentioned. There's this tall clown, that's white face on and this little pointy hat, and kind of like these pants that went like this, like big thighs kind of. And the other two looked the same, but one was short, one was tall, and they kept trying to pour water on his head. And I didn't really understand the joke or why they were trying to do it, but they kept getting water in their head, and then it was pretty crazy. And then we weren't sure what happened because I guess they announced it was halftime, and so everyone started to leave, and we were like, what? But there's still more to go, right? Because we still saw, like, all the posters, they show like bears and stuff. We hadn't seen the bears yet. We'd only seen like the reptiles and the snakes. Speaking of the snake, okay, so they had like this huge long snake, right? And a bunch of tarantulas and like little alligators like this big. And then, for no reason, the guy takes the snake's head, and puts it in his mouth. And everybody's like, yeah! And we're just like, why would you do that? Why would you put a snake's head inside of your mouth? It didn't make any sense. And that was crazy. Then it was halftime. We figured it out because then people started coming in, and everyone was taking photos with SpongeBob, or Bob Esponja, or however you say it, which was interesting because he was really short. Like here's like a kid that's like 5 or 6, and then here's SpongeBob, right? Just a little bit taller. So that was interesting. And then what happened after that? Oh, then the bears came out. Okay, so first of all, so this big truck comes out, like this Jeep, with all these bears on the back, and a bunch of dogs too, and this guy. And they start doing tricks, right? Which is awesome because they're bears doing tricks. And they had this like little ball, and the bear got on top, and he's like rolling forward with, like, I don't know how you train a bear to do that, first off. It's crazy. It's awesome. And then it got even weirder, right? Like they had the little dogs, and then the dogs, this bear got on top of this little stool thing, and then the dogs like went around, and 2 dogs were pushing this bear around in a big circle, like going like this. And that was interesting, but not even crazier than what happened next. Then they had this little cart for dogs to fit in, and the bear went up on his hind legs, grabbed the thing, and pushed it around. And the first time, he tipped it over. Like, he didn't do it right or something, so it fell over, and he's just like, and the trainer guy was kind of like jerking him around. So it was a mixture of feelings of, wow, this is really awesome, and oh, I feel really sorry for that bear because he's being yanked around. So it was kind of a mixed thing. But it was still cool to see a bear push 2 dogs in a little car. It was wild. So there's a total of 3 bears and 2 dogs. And the dogs, you know, went through little hoops and stuff. And the bears did all those crazy tricks. And then that was kind of it. Then, like, they all left. It was wild. And then they had like the circle thing and this little counterbalance and this circle thing. This little guy was inside, like running around like a little hamster wheel, right? But it wasn't moving. He was moving. And then at one point he went outside and he started, like, he had to duck to not hit his head on the rafters because it was so high. And then he was like jumping and doing things like whoa, like this. It was intense. And then what else happened? Okay, so that guy came. For some reason we thought there might be motorcycles, but it wasn't that. I guess that little Luke was the guy. And there's also a picture of Spider-Man, which we didn't see. So that was false advertising. He was not there. Also a picture of horses, which we didn't see horses. And we also didn't see, let me see, we saw the bear, we saw the crocodile, even though they're tiny, they're like this big. I think actually that was all the animals that they shown, without the horses, the ponies, whatever. Then, what else happened? Then, okay, so we had all those animals, you know, and then like this tightrope walker guy came out, right? And he's doing his thing, and then he was jumping, and then we're gonna jump over this thing and land on it, and he totally fell. And it wasn't like super high, which is good, because if he fell, they first of all didn't have any nets, so that was pretty interesting. You like wouldn't see that in the US, right? But, so he fell, he slipped, and I don't think it was part of the show because it didn't look like a graceful fall. And then everyone was like, all the guys came up and like, are you alright? You know, and he's like, oh, I'm fine. And then he kind of like shook it off, and then he did it for real, but even higher this time. So like that, this little flag, and he was here, and he like raised it up, and then he jumped over it and landed, and everybody's like clapping, you know, and they even clapped when he fell the first time, because it's, you know, it's hard work. Tightroping is hard. Or tightrope walking is hard, I would imagine. I haven't done it, but it looked really hard. And that was pretty intense. Especially since I was sitting here, I was like, I wonder if he falls. And then he fell, and then I felt bad, because I was like, oh, did I make him fall? Did I make him fall? But, what if I did? But anyway, he's fine. He shook his leg off, and he's good. And then at the end, at the very end, then this guy who's on all these posters, apparently he's like some super famous, like, clown. We're guessing he's some sort of like children's show star, because he came out, and from what I understood, he brought this little chair, like this other like remaster guy came out, and they did this little, you know, thing. But he put down a chair, and he's like, let's see ya. He's like, said something like, you know, what does this remind you of? And the guy's like, I'm gonna turn it to La Coche, or El Coche, or whatever it is. And then, so it's a car, right? So he's sitting down, and then all the kids and all the parents were like, and they're all doing the same song. And if you've never experienced something like that, where everyone around you is doing something that like apparently everybody knows, and you're the only people not understanding A, the language, or B, the song, or C, like all the emotions with the song, and you're trying to figure out like what's going on, highly recommend it, because it's really interesting. So I'm looking around, Nick and I are like, what? We're looking around at all these kids and all these parents, and they're honking their horns and then driving really big, and we don't know what the song's about. Apparently about a car and honking your horn, because they kept doing this. And then they had this other song where they had different, I guess, different instruments, because they were doing things like, you know, playing like a violin, and ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-da, and then ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum-bum-bum with the drums. That was cool. Also, we didn't know what was happening for most of it. And then, of course, there's a lot of banter back and forth between the clown guy and then, like, the main, like, announcer guy. I don't know what was going on, but everyone seemed to enjoy it. So that's the important part, because all the kids could understand it and we couldn't. So that always lifts your spirit when you're trying to learn Spanish. But that's all right, because the entire circus was only 10 euros, which is a really cheap price considering what ticket prices are generally for circuses, at least in the US, I think. So it was well worth the price. And we got to see flames, got to see bears push around dogs and dogs push around bears. That was crazy. And a bunch of clowns, and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's a very interesting circus, and unfortunately, they wouldn't let me take any pictures, except one. So here's the one picture I have. That is a picture of the halftime when everyone was taking pictures of SpongeBob, but you probably can't see it because it's very blurry. I'll try zooming in. Nope. Still can't really see what's going on. So that was my trip to Circus Queros. Here's a picture of all the signs, by the way. So as you can see, it's very popular. And it goes until Sunday night, which I don't know who's going to be there on Sunday night because that's when the Super Bowl's, the World Cup is playing. And the World Cup is very big, especially since Spain is like one of the teams. So hopefully Spain wins the World Cup. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. Because I don't know who's going to be looking at the circus on Sunday morning, or on Sunday night at 9 p.m. while the World Cup is going on. So I'm going to be watching the World Cup, even though I don't really watch soccer. But you have to, because you're in a different country where they love soccer, and they're playing. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And hopefully they win. That would be amazing. But even if they don't, it's still going to be an experience that I probably won't forget anytime soon. So anyway, that's what's been going on. And that was just one of the many adventures that we've been having here in Spain. And of course I'll be posting other videos soon. But it gets really hot and then you like want to sleep all the time. So I haven't been getting much time. That's okay. Bye!